Hello, my dear viewers, Jet English. Today I have exciting news for you. It happened yesterday or the day before yesterday. I don't even remember, but I still have these amazing emotions. So, what happened and how did it impact my career in teaching English, in my life in general? Whew. Um, it started 1 year ago, and at this time, or not this time, because I knew this technique for a very long time. Technique for learning new words or for learning in general for memorization. That is called mnemonic. It's called mnemonic. So if you want to remember to memorize something, you can use this mnemonic device to memorize better and to retain information better, to keep it for like a longer period of time. At school we all learn how to memorize, and we do it by rote memorization. It means you sit down, you open your book, and you start like reviewing the words or the formulas or the stuff you should memorize. And you do it again and again and again. It's easily forgotten, but you come back to this, and then you start over again. So it takes a lot of time. It's like very frustrating. It takes a lot of like mental effort, and it doesn't stick very well. So you can forget the next day, or you can remember, actually can remember it very well, like for 1 week, and then if you don't repeat, if you don't review it, you like forget it. And to improve this situation, some of the techniques, mnemonic techniques, were introduced. By the way, they were introduced like more than 1,000 years ago. And I think with old Greek knew about that technique and they used it. And nowadays, many people know about that too, but not everyone like knows exactly how to use it in the most efficient way. So I learned this technique from one guy who teaches how to learn, how to memorize, how to learn foreign languages in particular. So I learned it from him, and he's amazing. He's a Russian guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but he's amazing, and he did with this technology something that no one else has done in the world, and he actually like took it to a whole new level. And now we can memorize hundreds and even thousands pieces of information a day, and many people proved that this is possible. So what he did is awesome. He did is awesome, and I use this technique. I learned it from him, and I applied it to myself, and I applied it to my students, and I applied it to my products. I had a product on like typing, like fast typing, or whatever you call it, and I applied it on learning languages. So with this technique, you can learn 80 words, at least 80 words, but he says that if you learn 80 words an hour, that means you're doing something wrong. You have to learn at least 100 words an hour, and on the record day, you should be able to learn at least 1,000 words a day, at least 500 words a day. And some people who are quite smart and fast in their thinking, they can learn as many as 1,000 words a day, and this is possible. So I was like inspired by this technique. I put a lot of time and effort to learn to be good at it, but actually I'm not good at it. So now I'm rewatching this course. I want to do it much better. So I learned this technique, and I knew, so by my own results, by results of others, that it is possible to learn much faster and to retain the information, to keep it in your head for longer. And yeah, I was like a big fan of this technique. I was talking about it to random guys, and I was very hot about this topic, and was very uh, like bad-tempered. So when I heard someone saying about this technique, something bad, I was like, come on, how dare you say something bad about this technique? You just don't know what you're talking. Like, your method is wrong, you're stupid, blah, blah, blah. This technique is awesome. So I was like this, like very hot-tempered. And yeah, this time I ran into one of the forums. And this time I started developing my teaching skills because I finally realized that I want to be a teacher. So I ran into this forum, let's say online community in one of the social media, run by a very smart teacher, one of the leading experts in Russia. And it's a like very high rank teachers and personalities. And I saw a post, and I left a comment, something about learning new words. I said, oh, like this is not good. You can learn the words much faster. And she replied, and then some other guys replied. So I continued saying that, well, it's possible to learn. If you want, I can prove it. I can show it to you. Just Skype me, and we can set up a meeting where I actually show you in real time. Yeah, I'll show you in real time how I can do it, and like you'll see it by your eyes, for your eyes. But they were like furious. They didn't like the idea, and they told me to like to back off, like stop saying anything about mnemonics. It's stupid. We don't believe it. We hate mnemonics, and anyone who promises to like help you learn more words in an hour, like 100 words, they are scammers. This is a scam. And also she mentioned that like she'd read a lot of books on this topic. She'd read a lot of research, and she knows like the field completely, and she doesn't need any like new techniques and special mnemonics. So she said something along the lines that she hates that it doesn't work. And also she added like, stop talking about mnemonics or I'll ban you. And she also sent the article. She put the link in one of the answers, and about mnemonics, where like another teacher was writing about the disadvantages of mnemonics, how it doesn't work and how it's stupid. So I was super angry, and I didn't know what to do. On one hand, I was convinced completely about the effectiveness of mnemonic, and I was a big fan of it, and I worked it for myself and for my students. And I actually wrote a course, even a couple of courses on like how to use it. And I was like absolutely sure that it works, and it works not just it works, but it works like 10 times better than ordinary techniques. And I was convinced. On the other hand, like I saw these women, those teacher, like completely against this method. They like didn't like it, and they don't even like see a chance how it can be possible. They completely ignored it. And I was very disappointed because like I wasn't a professional teacher at this time, and I'm not a professional teacher now. I'm still learning. But when you know someone with high rank, such high rank in like teaching and in English in general, tells you that you are right, tells you that you're wrong and you're stupid and that your techniques don't work, it really hurts your ego. It really hurts your self-esteem. And I didn't know what to do. And for all this time, I started hating her and all those teachers. And it had a very big impact on my life. I couldn't stop thinking about this. So why don't they use this technique? It works. Why? And I didn't see any value in their teachings, in their techniques and methods, since they don't use these super advanced techniques. Like, what do they teach? What else? What else can they teach? And all of their teachings are not effective. No, it's slow, it's banal, and I didn't respect them. I didn't respect any of the like leading experts in the area, and it hurt me too, because I didn't learn from them. I didn't learn. I didn't see the need to learn from them, because I knew everything. I thought that I knew everything. I thought that I knew the best technique. I knew that this is the only thing I needed. So that's it. And I stopped developing. I didn't even start developing in this direction. So, and all this time, I've hated her. I've had this feeling of like disgust. I don't know how to express it, how to put it in words. I didn't want to go to their resources, to their like websites, to their communities, and to read from them, to learn from them. I didn't want it because, well, they were like enemies for me. They were like enemies for me. Yeah, it's real. I'm not making this up. And yeah, it was terrible. Sometimes it was like a little bit less harsh, and sometimes it intensified. So at some moments I really didn't know what to do, because, well, any experts, any teachers that I knew, they didn't know about this technique, and they used like conventional methods and conventional like theories and methods and techniques for teaching English. And I wasn't satisfied with it. I didn't like that. I thought they're doing something wrong. and I didn't like to read their like materials, and I didn't do it for a very long time. So now, with the help of my friend, I started like gradually, at least looking at their directions, to get something from them here and there, some techniques, some teaching. I just realized that this method, even though it's cool, it's amazing, it's super fast, not every person is willing to accept it. Not every person is willing to really try this method for themselves because, well, it's quite intensive. It takes a lot of like effort and a lot of mental strength, and it can be difficult for some people, and they are like they rather they stick to something easier and more convenient than try hard and do this like hard work. Well, so what happened? So it's been like this until the day before yesterday, where I read an article. I started reading books on teaching, um, honestly, not to learn from something from them, not to like to actually apply something in my teaching experience, but rather to know what they are up to, what they have, what technologies they have, what techniques they use. Because if you want to create something, as I do, if you want to create something, well, you need to know at least what are there already. So maybe something that you want to create, that maybe you want to write a program, you want to create a course, maybe it already exists. So why reinvent the wheel and just add absolutely nonsensical courses and data to the world? And yeah, I started doing it for this purpose, just to know what courses are available on the topic and what techniques are available. And I started reading, and what interesting, this teacher, I started reading like her accounts as well. Started following, not following, but I started like reading and watching her videos for one of my courses that I'm running right now. And I decided it's a good idea to know what they teach, what useful techniques I could recommend to my students. And I started watching her video, and there in one of the videos she recommended a guy, a scientist and an English methodologist, named Paul Nation. His name is Paul Nation, and I like dove into his books immediately. And he has, well, quite a lot of books on his website, and I downloaded one of his books, which is 5 pages long, and I started reading. And in this book, I learned this. I learned about this technique. And when I like found it, I realized that this is exactly the technique that I knew, that I like used, and that I call mnemonics. Maybe they hate the word mnemonics, but this is exactly what I was doing all the time. And it's not 100% of the method, because it consists of like several parts. First, when you memorize the word, you create this mnemonic picture, this picture in your head, and this is called mnemonic, or as he calls this, the keyword technique. And then you have to memorize, you have to practice this word, or this deck of words, and you have to achieve the very high potential in your head. So it could be like less than 1 second on a flashcard. When you see it and when you think for 10 seconds or more, that means you don't know it really well and you'll forget it easily. But when you memorize, well, you have to have this retained for less than 1 second. When you see a card, you should immediately see the picture in your head, and then you do it really fast. This is a very important part that many programs and many techniques overlook. They just learn passively. For example, take for example like Anki. Anki, like you see the card, you don't know the card, you see the backside, and then you like flip it over, and that's it. That's it. It's not learning. It's just no passive skimming through the flashcards. You don't activate your neurons very much. And with this method I'm talking about, you activate them like at the highest level possible. And number three, spaced repetition. Yeah, many programs use spaced repetitions as well, but they do it not effectively. And this is the value, this is the the merit that this guy did, that he improved all the three techniques, all the three part and yeah, all the three parts of this method, so that he was able to take it on a whole new level. And yeah, I found this technique, exactly this thing, I mean this part, like mnemonic part, exactly like word for word. And like I was stricken by that experience. I was so happy. And so I was right. It turns out that I was right. I mean, not me, but this method was legit, and this guy who created this method, he was legit. And this book, in the author of this book, is not just random guy. He's like the leading researcher. And when I realized it, I went to this forum, to this teacher, and I dropped a comment. So, and I told her that, well, look at this. What do you think? You said you hate technique. So I said it very like nicely and politely, so she not to hate me. And well, I said, well, what are you doing about this guy? Like, he says exactly the same things about mnemonics, and he praises it. He says that like a lot of research has been done, and it's very effective. It's highly effective, not just for beginners, but for intermediate students as well. And I asked her, well, what do you think? Is it possible for me to use this technique in my students because I'm unsure, blah, blah, blah. And said, oh, yeah, yeah, of course. Like, I'm not against mnemonics. You get me wrong. You got me wrong. I'm just against those guys who promise that you can learn like 1,000 words a day, 1,000 words an hour, blah 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 blah. So she changed her mind, at least, because like a couple of messages above, she was talking about the ineffectiveness of this technique, that he hates it, that it doesn't work, and that it's impossible, blah blah blah. It's not effective for anyone beside beginners. And now she's saying like, oh, this guy is awesome. He's a good like scientist. Of course, you can trust him and you can use this technique. Blah blah blah. But I've been suffering all this time. I've been hating everyone in this area and this in the field. And it's been a challenge for me, But now I see that this technique works. This is legit. I can use it, and it's much better than other technique that I know. But it's not for everyone. Yeah, I should point out that it's not for everyone. And if a student like wants to use this technique, I can suggest this technique. And if he wants to use it, then we can go. We can go for it. But if he doesn't, no problem. We can use something more conventional, something slower. So I'm not in the driver's seat. I can only suggest things, but if like a person doesn't want it, I can force it. I can force him or her to learn. But it was a huge achievement for me, and I realized that it's impossible to create things. It's impossible to improve. English is not rocket science, because in some areas like medicine or physics or chemistry or something else, you can easily show up and say something like, oh, it doesn't work, or I know it, some other chemical or some other like formula works better. I just don't like this. I'm gonna use my formula. See, it doesn't work. It sounds ridiculous. But with English, all the techniques. First of all, I realized from like reading books that there are lots of theories, there are lots of methods, there are lots of exercises that people use just by custom. They used to do that and still doing it. And many people like don't know why they're using a particular course, the particular like kind of exercise. They just do it because they've been done it for many years, so they've been taught to do this. And I wonder, like, at each exercise, each activity, what's it for? And I want to know it. Um, I want to know like which activities is for. And what was I talking about? I forgot. And yeah, in English teaching, all the techniques they're not like precise. They're not set in stone. They're not 100% like precise. Well, you can change them. You can find some activity, you can adapt it to your students, or you can find a text and then you could turn it into an exercise, or you can find like one activity from one method and another activity from another method, or your student likes something and you like abandon everything and you do what your students like it's all flexible. You have to be flexible here, because what students likes and what motivates him like has a huge part of the process. And if he doesn't like the activity, it doesn't matter how effective it is, because he doesn't like it, he won't do it, he won't stick to it, he'll be like unhappy, and you won't see any like good results from doing it. And yeah, so you can create lots of stuff here, and of course you should know what already exists, what already there, but you have lots of opportunities to create your stuff, and that's what I like. And now this event proved me that it's impossible to create something more effective. Not everyone knows about this keyword technique, even though the leading expert talks about it and writes about it in his book. Like, no, everyone, I never saw anyone, I've never seen anyone using these techniques, among teachers. They use like super, super boring and slow programs, like apps like Anki or Quizlet. They're super, super slow, and they don't use like mnemonic techniques. At least I haven't seen it mentioned. Oh yeah, so now I realize that it's impossible to create something, but first you have to know what already is there, so you don't create the same stuff again, and then you can be creative. You can be creative, and you can experiment with English, you can experiment with activities, and you can do much, much better. I think everything that is popular today, teaching English, I thought that everything that is taught is the most effective, but it's not the most effective. It's the most, maybe it's the most comfortable for both students and teachers. Maybe it's the most, I don't know, it's the most known thing that students are used to and the teachers are used to. But it doesn't mean that something is used nowadays, it means it's like super effective. It's not, because super effective usually involves super intensive practice, super intensive learning. If you want like great results, if you want better results, you have to work harder, and not everyone is ready to work harder. So that's the thing. So teachers find the perfect balance between effectiveness and between fun. All right, because you don't want to don't want your lessons look like drilling, only drilling, and only like rote memorization, and only doing exercises, because people get bored easily and they want some fun. They want play games, they want to read something interesting, watch something interesting. So yeah, you have to strike this balance between like super, super effective activities and something fun and engaging and communicative. So yeah, again, I'm happy, guys. I think I've grown in my development as a teacher, and now I don't hate them, and now I respect now ESL methodologists and teachers more than before, because they knew this technique all along. They just didn't say about this, or maybe didn't read the books about it. This was my fault. Uh, so now I respect them. Now I have more self-esteem, so became more confident in myself, that I can understand a thing, maybe natural, instinctively, or somehow, but I have some abilities. So I continue my education. I have tons of books, bunch of books, but at the same time, you have to implement this knowledge. You can read books forever. I think I might read a book, and then I can add this information, can add this to my classes and courses. So yeah, guys, I think this is a very important milestone, and I feel very comfortable. I feel excited. I'm happy. And now everything is in balance, is in order. I was very off balance, all this time, and I was easily annoyed and frustrated. But now I'm more confident. I know that I have the scientific backup, the scientific basis for what I'm doing, and that there has been research, there have been studies, and I know that, and I can be more confident, and I can, share this confidence with my students. Okay, guys, that's it. Now I'm gonna hit the gym, because, well, it's been 3 days that I didn't go to the gym. and I have like 3 hours before my next class. So thanks for watching, and I see you next time. Bye.